Alright, welcome to part 2 of the Kawasaki Mule. Last video we picked this thing up, we got the head off, and we got to look at the pistons, which weren't, too bad yet. We're going to be taking out the cylinder next, and to get up the cylinder, you got to take off the stator right here. Down here, and you can see the flywheel it's locked up. Then the magnets in there you can see are a little rough. The stator looks pretty decent. There's some rust on it, but nothing too crazy. But yeah, so we're gonna get the cylinder off and take a look at those pistons. Alright, so we got one piston out right there. You can see after about 2 hours of trying to get that loose, you can see one of the rings is free. That ring is free. The other ones are stuck. And the other piston skirt, one of the little pieces broke off. So that piston's junk, but it's slowly coming out of there. So far the cylinder's pretty good. You can see I pounded on it pretty good. I had to use a metal hammer because it wouldn't come off, but yeah, it's not wrecked or anything, so we can still use the cylinder. Might have to order a piston though. It's a slow process. Probably been pounding on this thing for 2 hours now. Alright, finally. Got the cylinder off. Look how bad that piston is. That is a little rough there. Holy cow. I think the crank might be fine though. We're gonna take off those pistons and crank her around, see if she moves. But here's the cylinder. You can see it definitely needs to be honed out. Oh man, that's crazy. They're a little rough. Just a tad rough. Yeah, it's not great. I don't think there are any scratches on the cylinder walls, so that's good. But man, that thing was locked up. Alright, got the pistons off. Just a tad rough. Oh man. You can see the little piece of the piston skirt broke off right there. It's supposed to look like that. It actually broke off on both of them. You can see that one broke off too. Hopefully that's not inside the case, but this one's pretty rough too. One ring is free, but yeah, they're just pretty rough looking. The little clips in here were so frail, they just bend like nothing. So I took them out and they don't hold their shape anymore, so that's not good. Check out the cranks. These actually appear to be pretty good still. There's no up and down play. Look at that. Barely any side to side too. So I think the cranks are still good. Check it out when I rotate this thing. It's pretty smooth here. It's a long time thing. Yeah, it's pretty smooth. See, it's pretty smooth in there. that spins pretty good. So it looks like the surfaces of this are pretty good too. No damage at all. So that's good. So it looks like we can just add a couple pistons to it. And we should be fine. I'm gonna take a hone through those. See if those clean up. Surfaces feel good on here. Those look pretty good. No damage I can see. Just rust. And then we've got to deal with the head. Trying to get those valves to free up and stuff. Fun, fun. Let's go see if we can find some used pistons. I'm not going to put a whole lot of money into this thing. If we can find some used OEM pistons, I think that would be fine. As long as the rings are good. I think these are the standard bore. I'll have to measure to make sure, but I'm pretty sure. Yeah, so at least we got the hard part done. Alright, we got all of our parts laid out here. Nice and organized. When you're working on this type of stuff, always make sure your stuff is organized, otherwise you're going to be digging through bags and stuff, looking for different screws and bolts and nuts and clips, and it just gets really, really intimidating. But if you lay it all out like this, it's easier to work on. You got all your parts labeled, pretty easy. So let's take a look at the head here. I got the rockers kind of off here. Those move freely, so we figured that out. We're going to take the valve compression tool and try to get these valves out of here and clean them up a bit. They look a little rough. Let me go up to the bench up here and do this, where we have some more space. We're just gonna go through each valve, make sure they're not stuck, and yeah, should be pretty fun. Hopefully none of them are bent. I'm using the valve compression tool. Just gonna get these guys out of here quick. Clips out of here. Those are what those look like. Those just hold the valve in. Alright, we unzip this. Those are free. The valve is stuck on there. Darn it. Mallet, the wooden part. Oh, it's coming. Holy. Look at that. Oh my gosh. That is crazy bad. Look at that. That was in there between the valve. Oh my. That is horrible. Look at that valve. That's by far the worst I've seen. Wow. That is crazy. Look at this gunk in here. This is insane. Oh my God. That is pretty rough. No wonder this one's not sitting down all the way flush. It's probably got a mound of whatever that is in there. Gross. By far the worst valves I've ever seen. Let's see if the valve's bent. Doesn't look bent. Well, at least it's not bent, right? Oh man. So we're gonna label these valves. We're gonna take them all out and then clean them up. I think it's gonna be easier that way. Then we can just soak this whole thing and really scrub it good. So this is gonna be, let's see, we're gonna make a little diagram on paper and label each one. All right, drew a little picture. See, we have intake and exhaust over here. We labeled this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the first one we took out was right there. Let's see if we turn this sideways like that. We can see we took out number 1, which lines up with number 1 on the paper. Then we're gonna go put number 1 over here and draw number 1 right there. And that's what we're gonna do. And then we're gonna take out number 2, which is gonna be right here. And then number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then follow this pattern. We'll put this right here so we know what we can follow when we put them back in. But that's what we're gonna do. And hopefully they're all straight. Number 2 coming out. Let's go up and down with it. Maybe you guys can see more that way. Get those clips out of there. Back her out. Let's see how bad this one is. Looking at this one right here. Oh boy, I have a feeling that's gonna be a little rough. It's coming. It's a tad rough. Just a tad rough. Packed full. That's what happens when you don't have a carburetor left on. Doesn't look bent. It's rough. Definitely needs some cleaning, but she's not bent so far. So far, so good. All right, here's the aftermath. This was everything that was in between the valves. You can see. Doesn't look too great, but we've got them all labeled out here. They all look pretty straight to me. We'll have to see when we put them back in, but they came out easy, so none of them felt bent or anything. So we're gonna take a wire wheel, clean all these up, and then this, we're going to probably let this soak in a solution of like degreaser in a big bucket full with soapy water and degreaser, I think. And then we have to lap all the valves as well. All right, little product review here. Just bought this from Harbor Freight. If you guys are looking for a cheap bench grinder, 6-inch, think this thing was like 45 bucks from Harbor Freight. Pretty decent deal. I got a couple wheels to go with it too, like 6 bucks a piece. The brass is nice because it's a really soft metal, so that shouldn't scratch up the valves. And I got a couple other things. Oh, what's that? WD-40. I always get one of those. Dremel attachments. These things are insanely expensive. I just got a couple brass attachments. It's like 8 bucks for these, for 2 of them. It's crazy. It was like $9 for these. Just insane. Is that everything? Oh, and then another wire wheel right here, another brass one for the drill. So that's what I got. Let's open this guy up and see what she looks like. Let's see what she looks like. I don't usually buy a ton of Harbor Freight stuff because it's usually pretty cheap. I've got my air compressor from Harbor Freight over here, and then I got my tire changer, but other than that, I don't really have too many tools from Harbor Freight. But when you need something cheap that you're not going to use very often, it's a good place to go. I haven't had a problem with their products yet, so. All right, this is it. Anything else in the bag? The box. Pretty simple bench grinder. 6 inches plenty for what I need it for. So hopefully we can change these out. Change these out with a wire wheel. And I think we'll be good to go. See if there's anything else in the box. Oh yeah. These things. All right, we got the grinder set up here. We have the metal brushing. Of course, the one I actually needed, which was the brass one, wouldn't fit. So it needs more spacers, but this is like the closest I could find that would fit. So we'll see what happens here. Let's see when we turn it on. I think it's pretty fast. So let it run for a bit to see if it flies off of there. Hopefully not. Let's see if I can clean up this thing. Oh yeah. So far, cleaning it up pretty good. Look how pitted that is though. It's pretty bad. Yikes. That one's pitted. Oh, man. Unbelievable pitting. But the surface right here looks pretty decent all the way around. That's what really matters the most. And obviously they don't sell these valves anymore for a 1988 Kawasaki Mule. So we gotta make these work, whatever it takes. So that one's done. On to the next one. This is what it looked like before. So let's see if we can clean it up again. Pitting on this one's horrible as well. Look at that. Oh man. Alright, just got done with the, this is the exhaust valve. You can see the exhaust valve so much better. That's what that's supposed to look like. Zero pitting. Looks like brand new now. That's what they all should look like, but of course the carburetors were off, letting water and other stuff in there, and that's why we're seeing pitting on the intake valves. Let's open these guys up. They feel pretty soft. So this is what we're going to be cleaning up. This surface, and then the insides you can see is all rusty and corroded. So we're going to be going through this whole thing. Well, I'd say that did a pretty good job. Took off all the rust. You can now see the surfaces of the valve seat. Everything looks really smooth in there. We're going to definitely lap them still, but everything's looking a lot cleaner. We're just going to spray some WD-40 down there and then clean out all the rest of the surfaces. I think all the gunk and stuff is now loose, so we can get all that stuff out. I mean, this is what it looked like before, so, I mean, big improvement. Alright, second side done. You can see how much cleaner that looks. That little brass brush does a lot of good work. You can see the seats are not too bad. It picks it up. They're not pitted or anything, so they should seal up pretty nice. But we'll clean up a little bit more, and then we're going to dunk the whole head in some degreaser solution and then scrub it all out. Alright, cleaned all off. Time to lap the valves. So we're going to start out with number 1 first. I'm going to use some valve grinding compound. Take this. Just going to put a little bit around here. That. Take the handy dandy tool. Probably need the smaller one. See that nice outer ridge all the way around? It's a different color. See how it's all even like that? That means it's seating correctly. And that's what we want. So that one looks good. On to the next 7. Alright, valves are done. That was a pain in the butt. 8 of these were tough to do. Getting these little clips in, or keepers, were hard. And I actually lost one of them. So I had to use 2 other ones from a different machine. You can see right there. Compared to that. So hopefully that works. I'm gonna look for the other one of this, but I took a magnet and went around looking for it, but I couldn't find it anywhere. I don't know where it went. I don't know if it flew somewhere or what, but I'll get all these boxes out tomorrow and look for it. But yeah, if we look at the valves underneath, looks pretty good. All of them move. All of them are nice and tight. So those are done. Alright, now that the valves are done, let's move on to the cylinder over here. This hopefully is going to be savable. You can see it's pretty rough looking. Not the greatest. That little ridge down there is concerning. I'm just really hoping we can save it. Alright, let's get the hone out and see if we can get these cleaned up. Getting some of the big chunks out before we go through it with the hone here. Good old WD-40. So I'm trying to get the big chunks up before we go in with the hone, because sometimes that hone can take the big chunks and scratch up the cylinder if they're metal. So trying to prevent that. Look at all that crap that came out of there. I mean, these are just really bad. Get a little oil going down the cylinders here. Ooh, that's a little bit too much. Get those nice and lubed up. Alright, here we go, let's see what happens. Switch it. I think that cleaned up pretty good. Yeah, it's looking better. It's looking a little bit better in there. Looks pretty smooth. Alright, well, this is as good as it's gonna get. You can see, I mean, that's pretty decent looking in there. You can see there's a couple dark spots where it didn't get it, but you know, overall it got most of it. This thing was really, really rough, probably one of the worst cylinders I've seen. Besides, you know, it didn't have scratches or anything, it just, the pistons were sitting in there for so long, rotting away. And it's just, I'm trying my best here, but I don't know. It's not looking too good, but you know, we'll throw it on there, see what happens. I've got the pistons that came in the mail, so I'll show you guys those. Probably measure the ring gap on both of them and see if they're gonna work out, but they're just a little rough. That's what happens when you let stuff sit outside for 20 years. Alright, cylinders are all cleaned, good to go. Here are the pistons, opening right now, just came in the mail. These were the only ones available on eBay. They're in pretty decent shape. They're stock ones. You can see the top needs to be cleaned off, but the rings are all good. And everything looks pretty smooth on here. So these are what we're going to be using. And yet hopefully this one's in good shape as well. Let's see here. Looks to be in decent condition. Rings look good. Rings are all nice. And he even gave me the little clips. There's 3 of them. There's probably one in here still. Let's see. Yeah, there's one in there still. Perfect. Because I needed these. These were all rotted out on mine. Alright, so let's just take the first ring off of this one and just see what the ring gap is. We'll just test one of them out. Hopefully it's pretty decent. Test them at the bottom of the cylinder. I can already tell it's going to be pretty good. I'd say that's pretty good. Check that ring gap out right there. I'll measure that quick. See what that's at. But that's pretty spot on right there. Alright, it's this one. .007 inches is what it's at for the spec. See what this ring gap is at. Check it in this one over here. That's about the same. Yep. 0.007 inches, about the same. So we are spot on for that. That's awesome. We're gonna clean up these pistons a bit, the top of them, just with a wire brush. Sitting outside. I don't have room in the garage right now, but there she is. We'll install the pistons and the cylinder. Try to start this thing up next video. Stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for subscribing. Till next time, we are out.